America, welcome back inside the Business Pulse. I'm Chuck Barham, your host. We're brought to you by the Freedom Chamber, online at freedomchamber.net, the pro-American business network. There's a healthcare solution inside the Freedom Chamber. We are saving businesses thousands of dollars a month, thousands and thousands of dollars a year, because we have done the homework and we've got a healthcare solution for you. Find out about it right now at freedomchamber.net. Rod Martin, Dean Owen, back in the saddle. I love having you guys. I'm back in the studio. It's been a long road for me to get back to healthy. That these viruses going around got me. So, but we're back.
Sick.
Oh, I was out for a while. So, but I'm feeling great now. The kids are healthy. The wife's healthy. The Barham Ranch is doing great. But I want to talk to you guys about what Marco Rubio did in Munich over the weekend, because I have always had some hesitation about Marco. Could he really champion himself on the big stage and champion America on the big stage? And he has proven me wrong, but has made himself look so great and America so great on the big stage. I want to get your thoughts about this speech he gave in Munich over the weekend. Rod, we'll start with you.
Well, you're exactly right. He was a good senator. He wasn't a great senator, but he used his time in the Senate really well. He kind of got hoodwinked in the beginning by Chuck Schumer on the Gang of Eight bill. He rallied from that. He recovered from that. He got his act together. He spent really quality time on the foreign relations and intelligence committees. And now he's just come into his own. I mean, he is truly one of our greatest American statesmen. He is at an almost Henry Kissinger level as Secretary of State. He may surpass him ultimately. And this speech reflected that. But there's a bigger story there that is getting missed while everybody praises Marco's speech, which was amazing, absolutely fantastic. Don't know who wrote it. I hope he had something to do with the writing. You know how these things go. But he delivered it. He believes it. He was convincing. This is who he is. And that's the important thing. But the bigger story is this is who Donald Trump is. And everybody has missed that because Trump likes keeping everybody off balance. Trump is always throwing out these maximalist demands and then negotiating to something reasonable. Trump is always reminding people of what they can lose if they don't act right, particularly NATO. And so they take him as isolationist, but he isn't. Marco's speech perfectly reflects the Trump foreign policy in exactly the way that I've been articulating it this entire past year at rodmartin.org. This has been our consistent thesis. Donald Trump is not an isolationist. He's just not a neocon. He's never going to go in with 500,000 troops and nation build for 20 years. That is never going to happen. He's going to use short, sharp, direct, decisive military action in the same way Ronald Reagan did to tip the balance in ways that serve American interests and in the process make a better world. He summarized it beautifully in Riyadh this past year as commerce, not chaos. And we could say that just a little more strongly. If you play ball with us, we'll get rich together. We'll see to it. If you don't want to play ball, you're getting the stick. Putin is figuring it out. Maduro figured it out. The Cuban regime is about to figure it out. Iran's about to get it.
That is true words right there, Rod Martin. Very true. And I like your take on it because Marco has become a statesman. You know, he would fumble a little bit in the presidential debates as a senator. Sometimes not the best time to take a drink of water when you're on live TV, but the man has really come into his own. That's a great way of stating it, Rod. And as you said, you can find the whole speech right on rodmartin.org, which you've got it inside the Martin Report too. So I highly encourage.
And video.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Whole
Delivered
thing.
fresh to your inbox daily, if not twice a day. From Rod Martin. But Dean, I want to get your thoughts too on your thoughts on Marco Rubio's speech over the weekend in Munich.
Well, I could not possibly agree any more with Rod than I do. But, you know, looking at the substance of the speech, you know, that was world altering. We are resetting the world order. And we conservatives, we've said it, we've suspected it, we've thought it, we've been called conspiracy theorists, but there was an actual deliberate path put in place for America's decline by offshoring our manufacturing, offshoring our wealth creation, onshoring it to places that are not friendly to the United States. And that was a deliberate process. Some people would say it was the British system that was designed to keep America to be Britain's bulldog. I don't know if I would go that far, but it is obvious that there was a deliberate system put in place to bring about America's decline. And that is ended. That is no more. We are going the other direction. You better either get on this train, stand by and watch, or get run over by it. Those are the three choices, and there are no others. You're all on board, run over, or stay the hell out of the way.
I couldn't agree more with that. I think it was the kick our Achilles. That's what those policies were. They were trying to hamstring us. If I'm off base there, Rod, let me know.
Well, no, let me address that point just briefly.
Sure.
Donald Trump is a nationalist in the most positive sense. The left has spent the last century demonizing that word, but what it means is any discrete group of people you can identify ought to be able to rule itself and not be ruled from a distant capital by an unelected, unaccountable elite. That's nationalism. That's why there's a Kenya and not a colony of Kenya. That's why there's an India and not a colony of India. That's why we had a revolution. That's why there's a Ukraine that isn't part of the Soviet Union. Nationalism is healthy and good. And what we saw in World War II wasn't nationalism, it was imperialism. Even when it called itself nationalism, it was imperialism. How can that be deniable? Well, the global elites are doing the exact same thing by other means. That's what we've been suffering. That's what Dean's talking about. We just spent the last 30 plus years having a global elitist order, sometimes in Davos, sometimes in Beijing, sometimes in Brussels. It doesn't really matter. A bunch of people coming together who share interests across boundaries, who see America as in the way. And it's in the way because it's a nation. And as long as it's a nation and it doesn't kowtow to the globalist order, that inspires other nations to also do their own thing and act freely. That is anathema. That's not allowed. And you see it in the EU when Poland and Hungary do things that are in their own interests, and Brussels smacks them with fines and fees and nearly embargoes to prevent them from deviating from what the bureaucrats have decreed. So the key to a globalist order is tying down America, reducing its power and influence, and raising up other powers that can supplant it. And that's what they worked on for 30 years, and that's what Donald Trump has dismantled.
Absolutely has. They put sugar in our gas tank is the best way for me to describe
Yes.
it. And he's filtered it out, and now we're running on premium, and we're going to see how the economy goes. And, you may be tuning into the Business Pulse for the first time or the 30th time or the 50th time and may wonder, what does that have to do with the local economy? I'm owning Chuck's Tie Store in Sycamore, Illinois. Well, it all ties in together. When you start working together with these countries in Europe and Asia, it's going to make everybody stronger. It's going to make the dollar stronger. It's going to make your dollar go further. It's going to decrease inflation. It's going to help the GDP. It's going to be all part of that plan. And that's where people get lost on Trump's, bully pulpit sometimes, as some people like to talk about it. And he is, but you've got people like Marco that can come in and be the Secretary of State and really not sugarcoat it, but give it that gloss and that floss that it needs to get it across to these people in the EU to get off their butts, stop kowtowing, as you said, to the elites, and let's get back to doing what we did really, really well. Do business together because it's stronger together. I know that seems very democratic to say, but it is. It's a good way to do business. And speaking of business, we talked about this off the air a little bit before everybody joined us. We're talking about the big, beautiful bill, and people are starting to harvest off of that coming into tax season. And Donald Trump said it's going to be bright, it's going to be big, and it's going to be beautiful. And Dean Owen is starting to see it with some of his clients. Walk us through that, Dean.
Well, just yesterday afternoon and this morning, I reviewed and signed off on a couple's, their investment clients that are over age 65, and they're usually getting a couple $1,000s back. And this year, because of the additional $12,000, they're getting almost $5,000 back.
Wow.
So we're seeing that all over the place. Where the child tax credit's greatly expanded. That those dollars gets filed very early on because those folks need the money, and then that money gets spent really fast. So 95% of your earned income tax credit tax returns are done by the end of February. What does that mean? They're getting the money in the middle of March. When did Rod and I say that the cash is going to hit and it was going to start? End of Q1, beginning of Q2.
Yeah, you and Rod have been spot on about that. Come April, watch out because things are going to start really booming in the economy, and you're seeing it, Dean. I mean, if you probably got success stories just waiting to happen in your Sable.
Yep. One other thing about the One Big Beautiful Bill I haven't talked about much, and I don't know if I've heard anybody talk about, but it needs to be talked about, especially among our viewers. There is an employer child tax or child care credit. What this does is if you pay child care expenses for your employees, you get a 50% credit up to $600,000. Wow. So, you're talking about not just very small businesses, but medium-sized and medium-large businesses. And what do we talk about? We talked about no tax on tip, no tax on overtime, is trying to bring people back into the workforce. Well, I know for a fact there are a lot of moms out here who can't get a job because they can't afford daycare. And those jobs are also typically that they would qualify for, would typically also get tips, also have overtime. So employers, you need to be thinking about, if you're looking for a workforce, let's ask the question, can you offer this benefit? It's only going to cost you 50 cents on the dollar because you're going to get the tax credits. And credits are not deductions. Credits are a dollar for dollar reduction in the tax you owe. And you need to look at that. If you don't know anything about it, you don't understand it, get online, check with my team. We'll do anything we can to help you. It's no charge for the coffee and friendship. But yeah, this is a chance where if you're in the right industry, you're in the right spot, you need factory workers, you need people coming in every day, you need a large number of office workers that, typically would be the single mom at home or the mom at home that's got young kids. Let's talk about how to give them a better life. They can make more money. You can get a big, nice tax credit from this, and you can build out your workforce.
This is why I love doing this show. This is why I can't wait to take that segment, boom, right there, and push it out into our email that we're going to send to our Business Freedom Chamber members. Rod, your thought on the Big Beautiful Bill and the tax rebates?
Look, we can summarize the parties' different approaches to taxation very simply. Talking about what Dean just said. Republicans seek to incentivize companies to take care of working families. Democrats, by contrast, seek to incentivize companies to move to Florida and Texas. And that's exactly what we're seeing. I don't know if you saw it yesterday. Palantir is now the latest company to move its headquarters to Miami, Florida. And of course, we have the Texas Stock Exchange launching here in the next couple of months or so. That's going to be a huge, huge deal on our new and nascent Y'all Street in Dallas. From beginning to end, you see an exodus from New York and California, and for that matter, Illinois, because those states want to punish productive work. They absolutely hate it. And they think that the goal is to redistribute a finite pie to basically Democrat NGOs. And we think that the goal is to grow the pie so everybody's better off. And you see that in the One Big Beautiful Bill. This is not just tax policy. This is a policy designed to grow the American family's wallet and future.
Absolutely, it is. It's hard to make pie when you don't have ingredients, right, Rod?
Yeah, right.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I just got done watching before we went on air J.B. Pritzker's State of the State address here in the state of Illinois, and guess what? Taxes are going up. More toll fees, potential mile per, you drive a couple of miles, they're going to tax you for that. New York's the same way. You look at your mayor that you've got there in New York City. Hell's coming. And it's coming back to these people's front porch that voted for these guys. And hopefully one of these days in Illinois and New York, they wake up in California, but highly doubtful. But Dean, you're going to be seeing a lot of people probably moving out of your neck into your neck of the woods just across the border from Illinois.
Yeah, we will. And Kentucky's gearing towards a 0% income tax. Our legislators doing it wise. They're doing it slowly so they don't blow the wheels off the car. But, we've already seen a significant exodus from California, New York, Illinois. You watch New York City, this getting ready to get put on turbo drive. It's going to just accelerate. And, unfortunately, that city's going to suffer greatly. It's going to, they're talking about raising the income tax 52%.
Yeah.
Now, who's that going to run off? The people they're going to try to get the money from. These people are blooming idiots. They're window-licking retards. This is not going to work.
Yeah, well, there was a very symbolic video and picture that came out the last couple of days when the snow melted in New York. All that was left on the sidewalk were feces. So I truly believe that is a symbol right there of what's going to happen in New York City once the taxes really kick in there. 52%. That's very Illinois and J.B. Pritzker of New York City. That's for sure.
Hey, Chuck,
Yes,
I've
sir.
got just talking about where are we at economically. What has this one big beautiful bill already done for us? And I had a big economic update I do every month. So I took some notes yesterday and I put my glasses on. The PMI is at 52.6, the highest in 4 years. Our new orders are at 57.1. Anything above 50 indicates expansion. The services at 53.8, new orders at 57.1. New home starts up 6.4% in December over November. Retail sales are up 6%, which is way above inflation. GDP growth last quarter between 4.5% and 5.5%. Depending on how you're listening to. Wage growth is 3.7%, which is well above inflation that the BLS is putting out, and we all know that's BS. Trueflation today was at 0.82. So if we're really at 0.82, and I believe that number is much more trustable, and we're seeing 3.7% wage growth, that's material. Our unemployment's at 4.3. We have 7.4 million job seekers, 6.5 million job openings. Household net worth is well above trend line. 70% of spending in our economy comes from just 20%. That 20% is not going to stop spending. They're going to continue spending. So just a lot of interesting stuff going on. I got to drop this one unrelated piece. If you haven't seen it, go to YouTube, go to Google search, ChatGPT search, and look for a nuclear reactor being transported by an Army C-130.
Yes, it's incredible.
It's amazing video. Amazing.
And we've been talking about this, the reactors, the nuclear renaissance. We've been talking about this for, close to a year now. And we just loaded one on an airplane and flew it somewhere for testing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is not theoretical. It's not hypothetical. It's not 15 years down the road. It's 3 years down the road.
Well, and what that means is a transformation in military operations. So your normal bases are not dependent on the local grid. So that's one point of failure that's just gone. Your forward bases can now be powered almost immediately upon establishment. You get there, you set up a power source, and it can handle everything. But that's not even the big story. The big story is the directed energy weapons that we've also talked about on this show that maybe not everybody has quite figured out yet. But yes, as Dr. Evil would say, we're getting frickin' laser beams. It's happening. The Israelis have actually taken operational, as of the end of December, their Iron Beam program. Everybody's heard of Iron Dome. Iron Beam is actually a laser-based air defense weapon. It has limited power. It has limited range. So did airplanes in 1926. But by 1946, we were about to break the sound barrier and we dropped a couple of atomic bombs at long range. So these technologies move seemingly really slowly until all of a sudden, boom, there you are. And what we're going to see, thanks to the rise of these small modular nuclear reactors, is not just a diversification of our power grid and a tremendous new source of energy for AI data centers and all the other things everybody's talking about. What we're talking about here is the empowerment of a laser-based military that can shoot down missiles and aircraft and drones to a degree that we just almost can't imagine. It makes Star Trek look today. It's just extraordinary. It'll change the world over the next 20 years. And the most crucial component of it is that nuclear reactor we just flew across the country in a jet.
Yeah.
And you think about the economics of war. So we've got this $700 million ballistic missile being fired at the United States, and we take our laser that costs less than a cup of coffee to blow it up.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
changes everything.
It's
And
Star Wars in reality is what it is when you really think about
And
it.
a little bit more futuristic. You know how much diesel fuel gets moved in to a combat zone? A bunch, because I've been there, I've seen it. And then flip the switch, and we're going to see this decade. Is how hard would it be to retrofit Falcon 1 or one of Elon's newest rockets and load it full of military payload and people and get from Texas to the Saudi Arabia in 37 minutes?
Well,
I didn't
you're
expect
singing
having
my
this
song
conversation
there.
today.
Yeah.
What's that,
Yeah.
Rod? Go ahead.
That-
Zed, you're singing my song there. I wrote a deep dive on exactly that last year. You recall military Starship. And here's the thing. Elon is gearing up to build 300 Starships a day. You know, or a year. We're not talking about a one-off shot like, you know, NASA flies Artemis 1 and then 3 years later you get Artemis 2. No, none of that. He's talking about building 300 of these a year, ramping up to 1,000. Now, why do you do that? You're certainly not doing it to send space probes to Jupiter. You're doing that to haul heavy freight and passengers around the world at airline scale. And it's transformative because you just said it. You're talking about cutting flight time from hours and hours and hours to, in some cases, 37 minutes or 47 minutes. But in all cases, under an hour from point to point, anywhere on Earth to anywhere on Earth. So I can board a Starship in New York and I can be in London in 26 minutes flat. And the price tag is about the same as a first class airline ticket today that'll take me 6 hours.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Think of the frequent
was-
flyer miles you could get off of something like that real
Well,
quick.
and the military implications are just as Dean
Oh, yeah.
is saying. If you had 1,000 Starships in you know the military, you could move everything we sent to fight the Gulf War, which took 6 months to get it all there. You could move that entire armored division and all of its supplies in under an hour. Under an hour,
Wow.
point to point, anywhere on Earth, even into a combat zone. Although you're going to need those frickin' laser beams to shoot down the incoming if you want to do that.
Lasers.
But hey, we didn't fly our stuff into the combat zone in Iraq. We flew it into Saudi Arabia, and that's the thing. So yes, this changes the entire world in the next 20 years completely.
And think about the financial aspect of waging war. Waging war is extremely, extremely expensive. Look at all the money we're spending right now getting our troops geared up and our soldiers, our sailors, so that they can do what they need to do in Iran. We see it's got to be billions of dollars. How much do we spend and how long did it take to get our ships ready so that we were in position to do what we needed to do in Venezuela? Think about being able to do that in a week. Get everything over there in an hour or two, and then take a week to set everything up. You've got nuclear power, so you don't have to worry about diesel fuel and all that kind of mess. The world's going to be a very different place 4 years from today.
Oh yeah. And really 10 years or 20. I mean,
Yeah.
we're about to go through the biggest technological and therefore societal expansion in human history. It's just incredible. And yeah, there's a lot of investment opportunity in that.
I think one of the investments, if you've got that hypersonic travel, is vomit bags. I would highly recommend everybody get a couple dollars out, put it into a vomit bag fund, and ride it out. What do you say, boys? Good? I love this. I did not expect this conversation today inside the Business Pulse, talking about Star Wars and hypersonic travel, but it's here. And it's kind of like when we first got these things, what are people going to do with them? And now look at what you can do on them. It's the same thing. It's just technology is just multiplying itself day in and day out. And that's why we've built the Business Pulse and the Freedom Chamber, to keep people up to speed on this. So I know we're running short on time here, guys. Dean, where can people find you online and get that great information they need?
OwenCPA.com. That's OWENCPA.com. Jump online, connect with my team. The coffee, the conversation, the friendship is always free. We'll see what we can do to help you disinherit your government and not your kids.
The Martin Report. Thank you, Dean. Where can we find that at, Rod?
We're at rodmartin.org. That's rodmartin.org. We do daily geopolitical analysis. Fox Business calls absolutely phenomenal. We've got the clip. We can prove it. And you need to come. We've got tens of thousands of subscribers. We've got hundreds of thousands of followers on X. All of that's happened in the last year. There's a reason.
Absolutely there is. And I invite you to share this video with your friends and family that own businesses across America, because we're building it, the Freedom Chamber. freedomchamber.net. Healthcare solution inside there. We're connecting businesses daily. Rod and Dean, thank you so much for all that you do. And your batting average is stellar. Hall of Fame worthy on what you guys have talked about over the course of the last 9-10 months. And it's all coming to harvest here with the big, beautiful bill in America. So I appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to you next week. This has been the Business Pulse. Healthcare costs are crushing America's small businesses. Premiums have risen over 240% in the last decade, forcing companies to choose between growth and healthcare coverage. The Freedom Chamber, found online at freedomchamber.net, has a better solution: the Guardianship Healthcare Plan. Designed by a doctor who understands that strong care starts with a strong doctor-patient relationship. This plan puts people first while protecting your bottom line. With up to 45% annual premium savings, the Guardianship Plan delivers real care, real savings, and real freedom. Your business, your employees, your health plan needs the Guardianship. The Freedom Chamber Guardianship Plan. Get your quote today. Learn how your business can take control of healthcare. Visit freedomchamber.net, the pro-American business network.